First Take on a Tuesday. Good day. Thank you for being here with us. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman. I am Molly Karam. Hello.
What's up? What's up? What's going on, my man? How you doing? What's going on? Everything all right?
I'm fired up. I'm ready for today. Yes, we do this much smoother.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into it because we got some news, Stephen A. We begin with Timmy Tebow. Our Adam Schefter reports the former NFL quarterback and current ESPN broadcaster is actively pursuing...
Steven, stay on the set. Where are you going?
Listen to this. A career in Major League Baseball. Tebow plans to hold a workout for MLB teams later this month, according to his agents Jimmy Sexton and Nick Khan. He's been training in Arizona and Los Angeles for almost a year now, honing his play as a professional batter and outfielder in a sport he hasn't played on a full-time basis since he was in high school in 2005. So all 30 Major League Baseball teams will be invited to Tebow's workout at the end of the month, an event he's been preparing for over the past year. Mr. Smith, your reaction?
You know... I'm speechless. I just don't know what to say. I mean, look, I was riding in this morning and I heard Mike Golick on the airwaves talking about what a great, great athlete Tim Tebow is. Oh, stop. I mean, you know, look, Tim Tebow is my friend, okay? He's such a nice guy. He truly, truly is. He is our colleague at ESPN. I don't enjoy saying these things about him, but I'm going to say it because out of necessity, it simply cannot be avoided. The man couldn't throw a football, okay? He completed 46.5% of his passes, all right? Yes, Max, and then you and my all of you make me sick, all of you, about Tim Tebow. I just can't take it because, oh, my Lord, the sun just sets. Oh, my Lord, Tim Tebow wants to play baseball. So let me get this straight. You play football all the time, wanted to be a quarterback all the time, practiced all the time, and still couldn't throw. But baseball, which you were very good at, by the way, at Florida, all due respect, okay, you haven't been playing that in years. So the sport that you practiced religiously and somehow couldn't make happen, all right, now you're going to go to baseball where the ball is smaller and dudes are throwing at you 95 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you just going to come out of nowhere and you're going to become a Major League Baseball player. There is such, look, I've said this on many occasions. I'm trying to be nice. I truly am trying to be nice. But the arrogance, if I am a baseball player, do you know how insulted I am that Tim Tebow's about to have a workout and everybody and their grandmother's planning on showing up to see Tim Tebow?
Michael Jordan couldn't get it done.
Well, listen. Look, but at least Michael Jordan was great at the basketball end of things. I mean, Tim Tebow practiced every day.
You need your voice for the rest of the show, Stephen. Calm down.
Man,
you're losing your voice already?
I'm not losing my voice. I cannot believe that this is the news. I mean, I understand that it's news, but I cannot believe that this is the route that he was going. He had us all convinced that all he wanted to do was be a quarterback. Remember that?
Yeah.
I just want to be a quarterback. I want to be a linebacker. I don't want to be a tailback. I don't want to be a fullback. I don't want to be a tight end. I want to be a quarterback. Now, at age 29, years removed from playing baseball, when you got young dudes out there who are studs, pounding that pavement, working on their game all day long, every day of the year, Tim Tebow's going to come out of nowhere. And suddenly he wants to be a baseball star. This is just
keep in mind, he didn't play at Florida. He just played in high school,
I'm sorry,
too.
I apologize.
Yeah, so he had a high school career.
I apologize. Exactly. He didn't play at Florida. He played at high school, and they said he could have played at Florida had he wanted to, but he chose football. So let me take it a step further. You ain't played since high school. Oh, my God. And the sport that you were playing, you weren't that damn good? Okay, let's just call it what it is. And then you're going to turn around, and now you're going to sit up there and deal with cats throwing 95 miles an hour. I mean, this is unbelievable. Go ahead, Mac. Just go ahead. Just go ahead. I can't believe it. Go ahead.
You said Tebow is a friend of yours.
He is.
Let
He's
me
my
put this.
friend.
I'm going to put this in language you can understand from your era, from our era, way back, Stephen A. New York City, way back in the day. Okay, Houdini. With friends like that, you don't need enemies. If you're his friend, oh my God, Tim Tebow. I don't listen. You're blaming him for the fact that he has enough celebrity that the media cares what he does. Now, is he going to succeed in baseball? Of course not, because baseball is a very mechanical sport. A sport even more exaggerated in this respect than football. You can't simply impose your athleticism or your passion on baseball. It is endless repetition. It is much, much more mechanical. And if his mechanics weren't good enough in the pocket to throw down the field, it is so unlikely that he will be a successful professional baseball player. It's ridiculous. But I'm not going to hate on him for giving it a shot, for pursuing his dream. If the media wants to show up with cameras, that's not his fault that people are interested in what he does.
It's not his fault.
Why?
So in other words, you know what? Let me interrupt. I'm sorry. You know what bothers me about that statement you just made?
Go ahead.
You know, you turn it into this Tebow protector or apologizer. I don't know what the word is.
You're doing that to me.
You're starting to get on my nerves with this stuff. Let me tell you why, Max Kellerman. You act like Tim Tebow was just practicing on a baseball field minding his business and somebody spotted him or something. No, this was an announcement. It was something that he leaked. It was something that he informed people about. So this is not an accident. He wants the publicity. Look. And nobody ever says that about Tim Tebow. And listen, he does a good job at this network. Let me be very, very clear. I'm very pleased with the job that I've seen Tim Tebow do. Very honored to call him a colleague, and he's an incredibly nice man. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I am going to stick to my position. The man couldn't throw a damn football. He practiced every day. Now you're trying to go the baseball route, which you haven't played since high school, and then you got Max Kellerman sitting across from me acting like he was just minding his business, and we spotted him playing football like I spied
We
somebody.
don't have to cover
this
it.
Dude.
We don't have to cover it. We're doing an NBA block.
I understand that. I understand that because
cover the workout.
the point that I'm trying to make to you is that he informed folks of
And that's one of the reasons. Listen, there are various reasons I think that Tebow fans feel as though he hasn't been given his proper due or not given his justified shot, in the sense that Kyle, well, we'll go over it again. Kyle Orton was considered at the time, maybe incorrectly, but at the time was considered a low-average quarterback.
Okay.
Replacement level, but starting quarterback caliber player.
Go ahead.
They couldn't buy a win. Tebow comes in, they go 7-4 and win a playoff game. He never started under center he never played quarterback again in the NFL. He made some now. So partly Tebow fans feel that he has been discriminated against in one way or another.
Okay.
However, I will say this. Him sidling up to Mark Sanchez, putting his arm around him at Jets camp and stuff like that, and the cameras are there, probably rubs some in football the wrong way, as though he's seeking publicity. I, however, can't blame a guy for being passionate about what he does and wanting to pursue it.
I just need to know, do I need to project and aim my ire at Tebow fans, or am I talking to one? Because, see, you're not clear. Am I you keep saying Tebow fans. I'm talking to you,
well, I got to admit
Kellerman.
something. Okay, I got to admit something.
Who is it?
I'm going to admit it.
They ain't sitting here. You are. What's your position?
I'm going to admit it.
What's your position?
When Tebow was in college, I said he is going to be a terrible NFL player. I was looking forward. All these people telling me about Tebow. I'm like, come on, he's going to be terrible. However, I'm an empiricist by nature, Stephen A. As, you know, when the facts change, so does my opinion. And the fact is, he went 7-4 and won a playoff game. And I don't care if you do it by hook or by crook. And I don't care if it's because you inspire your teammates in the huddle or you got a little lucky, whatever it is. I don't even care really if it's correlation and not causal. The fact is, when they started that guy, a franchise that could not win started winning, and he never really got another shot. Now, I'll say this. I'll say this.
Go ahead.
So he's kind of turned me into a fan. Yes, as him the player. Okay. Because I feel like it's not fair. Now, I will say this.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Given Tim Tebow's athletic ability.
Yes.
if he...
Go ahead.
He's very athletic. If he simply winds up contributing to popular culture, right, which is what he's doing now, then not only has he failed to compromise, hey, Tim Tebow, maybe play another position if no one wants to play at quarterback, but I also think the American sporting world and somehow has, in some way, has failed, because the fact that this guy couldn't succeed at the highest level in some sport, given his athletic ability, doesn't add up to me.
You know what, Max? It's amazing, considering your brilliance, your ability to articulate and elocute your thoughts so fluidly, as impressive as it may sound. It's beautiful that you say so much sometimes when it comes to your favorites, yet you say so little, because you left out some key elements here. Allow me to remind you. Do you realize that the Tebow legend, which primarily exists from his days at the University of Florida, never really should have happened? Had Cam Newton not been dismissed from Florida, had he been granted a second chance to make up for his supposed faux pas, and they showed some compassion, then Cam Newton would have been there, and there would have been a Tebow era, because I think we all know that Tebow couldn't mess with Cam Newton. I think that much is clear.
Are you saying that I'm saying that Tebow's the best player in the world? Because Cam Newton's the best player in the world.
I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm saying that you left that nugget of information out. Because when you talk about him, you act like there's some legendary status that we need to pay attention to. When in fact, it shouldn't have been one at Florida to begin with, because Cam Newton should have been there. But here's
what did he do with the opportunity?
Let me take. That's fine. Running the football, because the damn sure wasn't throwing it. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Oh, that's fine.
I'm getting to that.
I'm getting to that now. Because here's the thing. When you go to Denver, you're 7-4 and 11 starts. Trust me, I've had this argument so many times with other people. I got to do the memory. Don't even worry about it. I remember everything. I understand the fact that they had the #1 rushing attack with Tim Tebow. I understand that they went 7-4 with them. I understand that he lucked up because a dead clock is right twice a day, and he threw a
7 times out of 11.
And he threw a pass to Demaryius Thomas that he scampered 80 yards to beat my Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game, which made me sick to my stomach.
That's what this is about.
I get all of that.
That's what this is about.
This goes further than that, because here's the reality that you need to remember. Despite all of that, there were games that Tim Tebow won when he completed just 2 passes.
So?
Even though, it matters. Why? Because you say you want to be a quarterback. A quarterback's job description is to be able to throw the damn football, which he never could do. And that is that. So when y'all talk about Tim Tebow and you talk about all of this other stuff, you trying to talk about throwing a baseball. I thought I needed to see you throw a football. I mean, maybe you could throw a football better. Maybe you could throw a baseball better. Maybe, just maybe. I don't know. But you haven't played since high school. Is it not the height of arrogance that you think that you could just go out there and play professional baseball?
We agree.
He's not.
The odds that he succeeds in professional baseball are virtually zero, and you might not even say virtually. They're zero. He's not going to succeed at baseball. But I'm not going to kill the guy because he wants to pursue a dream, because he wants to follow his passion.
I'm saying he's inviting.
And by the way, whether or not he threw the ball, who cares how you win? Just win. You always say just win, baby. You're Mr. Just Win, baby.
That's not true. That's the Raiders. I'm no Raiders fan.
You quoted a lot.
I quoted a lot. I like the quote. That don't mean I like the Raiders. You understand? I was a Steelers fan. Pump the brakes. Let's remember that. The other thing is,
he beat your Steelers in the playoffs. You haven't gotten over.
We have more Tebow news to get to, by the way.
We do.
Yes, but you finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
We can get into it now?
Go ahead, get into it now. I'm just saying that, listen, he's inviting the attention from the media, okay? Using the media to try and bloat.
I know,
his
you're going to
stature.
cover the workout. Sports Center's sending you out. That's what I heard. 6 o'clock, Stephen A will be there on the field.
I promise you it won't be on 6 o'clock. I promise that. Go ahead.
Tebow, not just in the news for his baseball career, but his football career as well. Broncos GM John Elway told the Denver Post Tebow has a fan base behind him, and there was probably only one guy that we could have replaced him with that people would understand, and that was Peyton Manning. Stephen A, does Elway have a point?
He does have a point. Because of what I just finished articulating. Even though there were critics of Tim Tebow, and some of it was excessive and unfair because it was of a personal nature, because he had this goody two-shoes image, which I believe is legit and justified, and he should not have been criticized for. People use that against him to hate on him. But by and large, he had a level of support unseen by any mediocre player in NFL history. Usually that kind of adulation, that kind of affection is reserved for marquee dudes who show up time and time again. It isn't reserved for somebody who's marginal at best as a football player on a professional level, which is what Tim Tebow was as a quarterback. So what it comes to is this. John Elway was saying, he was so popular, he has such a rabid following, that the only person that we could replace him with without taking immense heat from it and potentially costing us at the gate or in paraphernalia and sales and all of this other stuff and beyond, the only person that could pull that off was Peyton Manning. I do believe entirely that John Elway is right about that point. There was only one person that he could justify succeed, because you wasn't going to get Tom Brady, you wasn't going to get Aaron Rodgers, but you were literally going to have a superstar elite quarterback to replace Tim Tebow. Good wasn't going to be good enough because his rabid following wanted him in there no matter what, and you had damn well better have the strongest justification in order for him not to be that dude. And that is why John Elway is absolutely right in what he said. Only Peyton Manning at that particular time could have pulled off moving Tebow out so quickly.
But if, in fact, that was the impetus, or that was what allowed Elway to make the move, then that's a bad admission by Elway.
So?
Placating a fan base is never the right idea. Oh, you can't sell it to the fans. To hell with selling it to the fans. The bottom line is, if you start winning, the fans come right back.
Just win, baby.
The problem is if you start losing and you've made an unpopular decision. Now, let's talk about why Peyton Manning did make sense in terms of replacing Tebow to those fans. And this speaks to the fact that he couldn't throw the ball. Tebow is a man of faith, and he wears it on his sleeve, and everyone realizes it, and that's one of the reasons that he's connected to a large fan base. And when you think about the fact that Stephen A., your arguments are right. There's no reason he should have won 7 out of 11 games for a team that couldn't win. There's no reason he should have beaten your Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. When, again, Kyle Orton, who was considered decent at the time, who was a replacement level kind of guy, couldn't buy a win. So that also connected with the fans because it seemed to be faith-based. It seemed to be that Tebow had such belief in himself and his team that it inspired his team. And in spite of the lack of evidence, right? What's faith? It's belief in the face of a lack of evidence. Despite of a lack of evidence in terms of his ability to throw at the quarterback position, they won. And it inspired everybody. So given that context, yes, you need to sell the fan base removing that guy after he won a playoff game. The way you replace their faith in him is you say, okay, yeah, we get it. But we're bringing in the best player of all time.
Yeah.
You could argue Peyton Manning during the regular season is the best player who ever lived. And by the way, then he set the touchdown record. So, you know.
I understand what you're saying. But here's a bigger point in all seriousness that we all need to come to terms with about Tim Tebow. His popularity is what essentially stretches his longevity and you know his sustainability in this game or in the world of professional sports. Tim Tebow, with all due respect, as a quarterback, not as an athlete, not as a football player, as a quarterback, has done nothing to deserve to be in the NFL based on what they tell us a quarterback is supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to throw the football. You're supposed to be able to run an offense. With Tim Tebow, okay, in the read option and what have you, he could run the football effectively, which is why the Denver Broncos had the #1 rushing attack. They also was getting killed in terms of their defense had to come to the rescue and hold stuff down for 3 quarters because, again, his QBR in the 4th quarter, particularly in the last 5 minutes, may have been impressive, but you sacrificed the first 55 minutes of a game.
They just did that to win the Super Bowl, Stephen A. You just described them winning the Super Bowl just now.
That's not true, because what Peyton Manning would do was Peyton Manning would move the chains. Peyton Manning would make Peyton Manning would move the chains. He would make right decisions, and the defense was elite this go round. It wasn't elite when Tim Tebow was there. It was ranked 24th in the NFL at the time, 20th in yards allowed in 2011. So if you had a Tim Tebow, you needed those points. You were not getting those points. They got outscored by 81 points. In terms of yards allowed, the opponents literally had almost 700 more yards than the Denver Broncos that particular season. Tim Tebow wasn't that effective, but he ran the football effectively, and he had a rabid following where people walked through the turnstiles, and the television networks had the eye of the world on him because he was such a sensational story to follow.
Agreed.
That's a disservice to a lot of players out there who pound the pavement, obtain the requisite skills, and are still held back because they don't have that following.
Quickly.
That ain't right.
2 things quickly. I agree with that. Your argument would be a lot easier to make if you went, 2-9 instead of 7-4. And 2, if the argument is Did they do the right thing by bringing in Peyton Manning? The answer is yes, of course. 55 touchdowns in the Super Bowl appearance and then a Super Bowl win when he wasn't even good anymore. Of course they made the right choice. It was Peyton Manning.
Well, you remember Tommy, what was his name? I think it was Tommy Frazier. I think it was Charlie Ward and others. There were plenty of quarterbacks that came before Tim Tebow that could run the football just as effectively, that could do some damage on the football field, that didn't get nearly the shine that he
Well, that was Charlie Ward's choice. He wanted to play basketball.
Yeah, but he wasn't getting the shine when he wanted to play football, which is why he elected to play basketball. So you have people who resent Tim Tebow because of that. That's not his fault. Tim Tebow's a very good guy, but you have that religious right that really followed and support him, and a lot of people resent the fact that that's elevating his stature, because that does have a lot to do with it, because it damn sure ain't his performance. Let's keep it real.
I want to wrap this up with an insider's perspective we just saw here. So obviously a lot of people think the baseball tryout's a publicity stunt. We have a statement from Chad Moeller. He's a former major league catcher who's been training him in Arizona. And here's what he had to say. I'm beyond impressed with Tim's athleticism and swing, and it goes without saying that he's shown a high level of discipline and strong work ethic. I see bat speed and power and real baseball talent. I truly believe Tim has the skill set and potential to achieve his goal of playing in the major leagues. And based on what I've seen over the past few months, it could happen relatively quickly. That was Chad Moeller,
the
former catcher. He's training him in Scottsdale at his facility.
Save that quote and save that name.
Sure.
Everybody want to. We got quarterback gurus that have spoken on behalf of Tim Tebow.
We got it, Mark.
Now we got a baseball guru that is talking on behalf of Tim Tebow.
He inspires people.
I want names. I want names. I want their quotes. Save it.
It's only
Save it. That's what I'm saying. Save it. I want the name. Excuse me. I'm gonna be here till 12 noon. Ain't nobody fading. I'll keep the energy up. You ain't got the word. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Keep the names and the quotes.
Okay.
I want the name and the quotes because I will defer to them at a later date. That's all I'm going to say.
It's inked for you, Chad Moeller.
He ain't making the major leagues. I mean,
No.
Coming up next, Joey Bosa is the only rookie who has yet to report to camp, and it got his mother all fired up. She took it to Facebook. We will explain and react. Stay tuned for that.